Just because someone plays violent video games does not mean that they are or will become violent themselves. Many psychologists and professors have stated that there is no evidence to link the two together. However, many politicians disagree and have publicly stated that they believe school shooters gain this urge of violence from playing violent video games. I'm going to tell you a short story about a boy named Oscar, and I'm going to share with you his story, his life, and his reasons for becoming a school shooter. Oscar is really small, as in he's skinny and shorter than your average boy. He's always been smaller than the other kids, due to him being a premature baby. His mom is a drug addict and didn't stop using while she was pregnant with him. His dad is an alcoholic and beats on him and his mom every chance that he gets. Neither of his parents show him much love. His dad beats him, verbally abuses him, calling him worthless, telling him he's a disappointment, making fun of his size, calls him dumb and stupid, and his mom always tells him that it's his fault that his dad does this to him. His life at school isn't much better. He was bullied every day from kindergarten to high school, mostly for his size and being poor. The kids would make fun of him and his clothes, calling him ugly and homeless looking, telling him he stunk really bad. They would beat him up too, just like his dad did at home. No one ever told them to stop or stood up for him. He ate lunch alone, he walked in the hallways alone, he sat in class alone, and then he walked back home alone. Every day he went from one abusive environment to the other, like clockwork, and he never catches a break. Not even his teachers at school seem to be too concerned about his well-being. He has no one to tell him that he's great, that he's amazing, that he's worth loving. All he hears all day, every day, is how he has no point. He never feels love. Oscar doesn't even know what that is, or empathy, or compassion. Oscar is now a junior in high school. He still doesn't have any friends. He still gets bullied, and he's still alone. Ever since he was a kid, he used to watch his dad shoot birds in the backyard. And he learned how to shoot a gun by watching him. By the time he had started his junior year of high school, he had already planned everything out. He was going to go to school late that day, and he would hide the gun in his pants. Then when he got to class, he would just start shooting. First, Nick Pattern, the boy who started it all. And first, in kindergarten, he was the very first person to ever bully him. Nick pushed him off the top of the slide simply because Oscar was in his way, and then he never stopped pushing him around after that. Next was Nick's posse of guys who tortured him throughout all of his school years, made his life miserable. Then he just started shooting. To him, no one was innocent. No one tried to help him. No one stood up for him, so in his eyes, everyone was guilty. After he had killed over 30 people at school, he managed to go back home unnoticed and wait for the cops to come. He wanted his parents to see him get arrested. He wanted them to know that he wasn't weak and worthless. He wanted them to see what they had created. Oscar had never played a video game in his life. This rush of violence was because he was abused and bullied his entire life, and he had finally had enough of it. He learned how to use a gun from watching his dad, not by playing video games. He learned this violence from everyone around him, not from a game. Violent behavior is caused by people and events. Kevin Draper, a New York Times reporter, said people started blaming video games for violent behavior after Wolfenstein 3D and Doom popularized the genre of shooting games in the 1990s. After that, people blamed video games for the shootings at Columbine High School in 1999 and Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in 2018. He also wrote that according to a policy statement from the Media Psychology Division of the American Psychological Association, scant evidence has emerged that makes any causal or correlational connection between playing violent video games and actually committing violent activities. In an interview, Chris Ferguson, a psychological professor at the Stetson University, said that violent video games nor violent movies are a cause or risk factor for momentous acts of aggression. Then Patrick Markey, the director of the Interpersonal Research Laboratory and professor of psychology at Villanova University, states that the research is not there to suggest that there is a link between violent video games and horrible acts of violence. He also goes on to say that 70% of high school students play these violent video games, and only 20% of school shooters have reportedly played these games as well. In conclusion, video games do not cause violence. People and events do, but not these games. Oscar never played any video games. He just simply mimicked what he saw every day. Violence, no mercy, that's all he knew. Please keep this story of Oscar in mind the next time that you want to blame video games for violence instead of yourself. Thank you.